So sharing also makes us feel heard, and it gives us ideas of what to do when feeling stuck. Because part of, suffering or going through depression, anxiety is we start to avoid and we start to isolate ourselves further. Okay.
I think we have another hand up, Lisa.
Oh, yeah, sure. I can't see anyone's, all the participants. So go ahead, please.
I just wanted to mention that it made me happy to hear that most people who shared, they shared both the positives and the negatives. And so it's good to hear those positives, because COVID is a time when it's hard. It's, easy to just dwell on all the things that are so tough, but everybody had something good to say as well. So that was, I don't know, it felt good to hear that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, because that really speaks to our resilience, right? Like, it really shows that after a year and a half of going through this, we can speak positive about what we're going through. So yeah, thank you for that. And in the groups, I was trying to take notes, and people were sharing things such as, some people are missing their older kids versus other people are like, I'm tired of my kids, right? Some people were saying, I don't get a break at all. And some people saying, my kids are gone, so I was isolated. Right, kind of like wherever you are, there's going to be issues of where you're at, right? Other people were saying things like, we defined new goals, new values. We started to play more board games and started to spend some time together as families, where pre-COVID, we weren't. Right? We were just fast paced. Some people were saying they're tired of the online teaching method, juggling different types of roles. And, when I do this with other groups all across, we find people are feeling uncertain, fear the unknown. And these are more of the negatives we can say, but this is why we're having this training. This is why we're having this, even not training, but this is why we're having this discussion, right? Because a lot of people are feeling that fear of unknown. There's limited spaces to access. Everyone's home online, limited social interactions, like one of the ladies said in the other group, news consumption. People have learned or are learning now what they need to consume and what they need to not consume. The online work in school, balancing of multiple people in the house. And then, as you mentioned, if somebody has a child with special needs, a sickness, or any other sort of physical or mental health issue, life just got hard, didn't it? It just got a lot more harder. And so part of the work we'll do today is we'll talk about, how do I deal with that? Okay. And so why focus on self-care? Well, in my line of work, we talk a lot about burnout, right? I talk a lot about this. And when I'm looking at depression, anxiety, a lot of the times it's because we haven't been able to take care of the pre-symptoms, which come from burnout. And burnout is basically, that state of mind that comes with unresolved and long-term stress. And this starts to negatively affect your work and your life. It's this state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion when we've just been stuck for a really long time. We start to feel overwhelmed, drained, unable, to function day to day. And as the stress continues, we just start to feel the lack of motivation. We may have loved doing something once upon a time, but we kind of stop loving that as much as we used to. Okay. And the consequences, what we start doing is we start to avoid people. We're social beings. We're supposed to connect. But when we start to feel these symptoms of burnout, we'd rather be left alone, right? Like you're around your children, but you're like, I just wish they were sleeping instead, right? Some people can get physical symptoms such as headaches and pain. They don't know where their stomach aches are coming from, a lot of gastrointestinal issues, but they can't pinpoint that this is mental stress, right? And we know that stress can cause physical damage, right? A lot of cortisol that gets produced into the system that causes our organs to start to have some problems. Burnout consequences of emotional exhaustion. As I said earlier, the drain and feeling tired, just feeling disinterested in things that you used to love. And ultimately, you start to feel negative about things. So your performance gets reduced, right? You don't perform like you used to. And if not taken care of, then that mental exhaustion can lead to things like depression and anxiety. Okay, and this is why it becomes important to come here, to share, to talk, to learn, to seek resources. This is exactly why we're doing this today. Right? So what can we do? It's like, oh my gosh, this is all scary stuff, right? What are we able to do? And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. And so I'm kind of wondering, because of the time factor, if you're comfortable, we can kind of discuss this and just raise your hand or tell me what you want to do. Do you want to go into a group breakout session? Or I think a lot of the answers came from the first one, is we can discuss this here, right? Like, what have people done so far? It's been a year and a half, right? We've done something. We're all sitting here in this training. We all survived and came to this point. So what have you done so far that's worked for you that you think other people could benefit from? Anyone want to share? Anyone comfortable sharing? I've got your answers written down. So anyone want to share? There were some women that mentioned some beautiful things, but I'd like to give you the platform. Is there anything that you've done that you've think has, yep, it worked for me. It worked for me and my family.
Like if I talk about myself, I'll take my kids every day outside and try to do some physical activity. So, or sometime if we can't go out, I can just put some kind of YouTube video on physical activity, and we all kind of do a small, simple kind of workout. So that worked well for my family.
Yeah, physical activity, right? We all realize we need to start moving, whether inside or outside. I know for me, we started walking outside, right? All of a sudden, I know what my neighbors look like. Right? 10 years of, I didn't know what they looked like. We never spoke very well, right? Anyone else? Anyone else did things that really actually ended up working for you guys? Or maybe what didn't work? What did you realize was not working for you guys?
I want to, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I want to share one thing, like when the pandemic started and it was the first lockdown, and like everyone was so stressed because the situation was new and we don't know what to do. And my son, he's 14, so he make a basketball ring out of styrofoam.
Oh.
And put it on a wall, and we all play all together as a family on basketball every day inside in my living room. We just put all tables and chairs on a side, and we make little space, and it was so fun, and it gave us so relaxation. Every day we play together, and that was the best time. Everyone was relaxed and laughing and playing. So that was good. That was a good thing. Like he did at start, I was not in favor. I said, okay, how we will put it, how we can do that. But he said, no, I want to do something. I cannot stay like that. And then it was a source of big entertainment. Everyone want to play on that basketball ring, and everyone is playing.
Yeah. So, I love that. And I want to bring you guys' attention to something. You had to do something to make this happen, my dear. You first said, no, it's not going to work. I don't want to do that. But then you had to let your guard down, right? You had to sort of break that rule and listen. And I think sometimes it's that creativity, right? It's like listening to the kids. What do they want out of me, right? Sometimes we put the routines for them and say, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this. But asking the children, what's going to work for you? And you did that. You let your guard down. You let your living room turn into a basketball court. And it worked for your family. Anyone else? Anyone else want to share something before I move on?
I would like to say that, we got time to sit together after meals, and we start talking about our childhood and telling them all our tales and stories. To our children, and they are enjoying a lot. And then we are talking about different type of topics. We are choosing some topics and discussing different things together. And sometimes watching TV, and sometimes we are just looking at our old memories in albums. Old albums. We are going through all the albums and old pictures and videos, our wedding videos, and these type of things. So yeah, my children, they enjoyed a lot, and they have learned so many new things from their father. And because my husband, he loves traveling, so he was telling them about his experiences, and these things were so good, and we are always feeling so relaxed.
All right, that's great. Thank you so much. And I had one more name, I think Noreen, and then I'll move on. Noreen, if you want to share your story.
Yeah, I remembered like we went back on in our childhood and find out the ways how we keep ourselves busy when the life was not this fast.
Ah,
And I remember those old games. I make a hotspot in my living room. We draw it, and then we start playing that thing.
mm,
And I like recall my memory and find out what we play, what we
mm.
can do inside. And there was a lot of interesting things that come out, and kids, like I share that things with my kids, and then we all start playing those things. And that is a good
Right.
addition now. We are playing those things, those games and everything.
Right. Thank you so much. I just want to bring your attention to something again, right? If you pick up a theme here, very important, especially with the work I do. Part of my work has a lot to do with this theme that we just picked up. The stories that were shared here, childhood stories were shared. We were sharing physical activity as a family, okay? Putting on YouTube and working out together, playing games, sitting together after the meal and talking, having discussions, stories about the past and shared experiences, discussing. Is this happening in isolation or is this happening with the rest of your family members? What's happening here? The obvious answer is connection. Okay, there's a huge healing in connecting, right? So part of the work that, part of what I want you to take from me today is that healing happens through connection. We've been created to connect with people, right? So the more you find yourself isolating for someone or something, I want you to question that, right? How can I connect back? Okay. So, I do see a lot of hands going up. I'm going to ask you guys to just wait for a bit. I think time is going pretty fast, but we will come back. I'll try my best to come back to everyone. Okay, so I'll skip this slide. Just another thing on sharing. And I hope you guys are seeing the link that I'm doing here, right? That as you share and talk, we start to heal and we start to grow out of our stuck points. Okay, so now that I got stuff from you guys and you guys see that how much, wealth of knowledge moms themselves have. A lot of times people say, give me the skills. And I say, you know what? We have them. We have the skills. I can't teach you parenting. Okay. But I can help you deal with all the other stuff. So your innate parenting comes out. And this is exactly what just happened right now. Right. So I'll get a little bit into my tips and skills. And so, no, I'm not going to send you home with sort of like, a plan to start walking and a plan to start eating properly. Because as I said, when we started the presentation, you all know that. Right? We got to take care of our mind. We got to take care of our body. We got to take care of our soul. We got to eat healthy. We got to drink water. We got to exercise. We got to move. We know all those things, correct? So I'm going to take you to 3 concepts that I like to bring into my work. And those are, self-compassion. We'll talk a little about what that is, emotional awareness, and then me time. Right? With these 3 ingredients, when you start to incorporate these things in your life, then you start becoming more conscious and aware of your decisions. Okay. Why am I doing something? What do I need to do? Okay. And so if we can mute the background, if anyone's speakers are on, if you can please mute that. Thank you. And so the first tip that we'll talk a little bit about is self-compassion. Okay, and what do we mean by that? Especially with women, this is it's a key ingredient that's missing. Okay, in everything that we were sharing today, we got a lot of positives, which is brilliant. But in that, as I was hopping from the groups, there was self-criticism, right? Questioning my parenting skills, having shame around not being there for all my children, having guilt around too much screen time. I have teenagers and I had a couple of moms in the group say, I didn't want them to have screen time, but they do have screen time. So then the mom now feels guilty. Right? What can I be doing better? It's because I'm doing something wrong that my child is doing this and that. Okay, so self-compassion basically is the ability to give yourself the same compassion that you give to a friend. Okay, if a friend came to you and said, the name I remember is Lisa, right? Lisa, I'm going through this struggle and my kids are online. I don't have time. I'm working a job. Most likely your answer won't be, you know what? Just start to parent better. Your parenting sucks. That won't be your answer, right? Your answer is going to be, you're trying your best, right? Your answer is going to be, give yourself a break. You're a good mom. You're trying hard. That's the answer we give other people, right? But when it comes to us, it's, what am I doing wrong? What can I do better? Why are my kids like this? It has to be something to do with me. It's the self-criticism. It's the negative talk that we have within our own minds about ourselves that makes it harder. Okay. We just talked about a lot of the pandemic has to do with stuff that we're not able to control, right? So under the circumstances, I invite you guys to start giving yourself that break, that self-compassionate break, that things are tough and I'm doing the best with what I can do. One of the moms said to me, the kids are always around me. Even as we spoke, the kids were around her, right? It's not the ideal situation to get massive goals done. It's the best you can do. And when you give yourself that break, you start to move away the guilt, and when we move away guilt, all sorts of good things happen. Okay, and so the ingredients of self-compassion are basically that self-kindness. How do I start being kind to me? You're doing a good job, Rena. You are trying your best. This is tough. I'm giving it all I can do. I am tired. Okay. The second ingredient to self-compassion is common humanity, is what we're doing right now. We're sharing with each other. Yeah, we're all in it together. None of you are alone in this. So if you think you're not doing a good job, there's 100,000 moms out there who think they're not doing a good job, right? If you are suffering in the pandemic, there's 100,000 moms out there who are also suffering. And part of going through things is knowing that other people are sharing this with me. And when we share, we start to feel kindness towards others and kindness towards self, okay? And then the third ingredient towards self-compassion is mindfulness. Mindfulness basically is that awareness that we have around our present moment, right? What am I feeling in this very moment? Not what could have I done better? What should I do better? It's in this moment. How am I? Okay, what's going on for me in this moment? Okay, and mindfulness is bringing that non-judgmental, non-critical awareness towards yourself. I'm not going to judge myself and criticize. I'm just going to ask myself, what's going on for me right now? Okay, Lisa, I see you've raised your hand a couple of times. So my dear, if you have a question, please go ahead.
You're on mute, Lisa.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry, I was muted there. Yeah, I had just raised it once. It just didn't come down once it was raised.
Okay. Do you have a question though?
Yeah, well, it was just more of a comment about that's kind of relevant because we're talking about like screen time and all this kind of thing. And whereas I found that latching onto Zoom, like we're all doing here, but doing it with everything for me is kind of what got me through it. Because my diabetes exercise class, my chair yoga, which I all used to do live. Well, now I do that at home. Right. I do my social groups at home, like everything. And it is hard because the kids seem to be on their devices all the time, but you have to say to yourself as a parent, well, but they're totally isolated and we're on lockdown. So if they're watching a Netflix movie with friends together, or if they're on social media, talking with their friends, well, that's the only socializing they're getting. So I felt okay with letting them have extra screen time. Like, sure, I said, yeah, we need to go walk outside, you need to do something else. But and it was hard for me because my daughter having like post-concussion headaches, I struggled with. She was on her screen all the time. Is it making her headaches worse? Should I tell her just no? But she's a young adult. She can make decisions for herself. It really was tough. But like you said, you just kind of have to cut yourself a break and your other family members as well.